This is Cher, and I'm here with Jason and Rob. Guys, if you had to describe this podcast in 5 words or less, what would you say?
I'm going to go with Wile E. Coyote guzzling gasoline.
I'm thinking climate change, diarrhea, hurricane.
Are you serious? Maybe I should do this thing on my own.
Fine. It's a show about how to stay sane in a world where there's too many people consuming too much stuff and the planet can't take it anymore.
You had me at diarrhea.
Caution, if you're allergic to 4-letter words, you might want to try a different podcast. Hey guys, you ever watch any of these goddamn superhero movies that are coming out all the time?
Very powerful.
I saw Superman 3.
Yeah.
What was it, like in 1988? Jesus Christ. No.
Is that long ago?
I took my daughter to see one of the new Marvel movies. Well, I don't know if it's that new, but we went to see Avengers Infinity War. Have you seen this movie?
No. It's Infinity, though.
Yeah, well, so this movie is about this bad guy. You know, all the superhero, bad guy versus good guy. So the bad guy here is this evil dude called Thanos, and he goes out and he collects magic rocks, right?
What?
Yeah. Come on, it's
magic rocks?
Like you don't have any magic rocks in your
This
collection?
is what the evil guy decides he's going to do with his time.
Yes, well, but the magic rocks give you the ultimate power in the universe. And what does the bad guy want to do with the ultimate power?
Throw them at people?
No, he realized he's a limits to growth guy.
Wow.
He knows that the people or people-like creatures in the universe are reproducing and consuming too much, and he's the only guy with the stones to do anything about it.
Literally the rocks.
No, wait. We have the resources of the universe at our disposal now, and still there's overpopulation?
Yes, and so what he wants to do is instantly kill half the people-like creatures of the galaxy or universe. So that's his plan. That's his
Have the
evil
people, just
plan.
have the people?
Wait, and
half of them gone.
Okay.
Just wipe them out instantly.
And these magic rocks can do that.
It's like Corvallis in the summer. It's wonderful here.
Oh, yeah. We're in a college town. Everybody
I
leaves.
love it.
Yeah. But we're not killing them.
Okay, no, we're not killing them.
Yeah, they're not leaving because you're throwing rocks at them.
No, we're not.
Hey, he doesn't throw the rocks. He
What does
uses
he
the
do?
magic power of the rock.
Oh,
Is he like, is there
excuse me.
incantations and stuff like that?
I was completely ridiculous with my assumption.
I know. That's Suspend some disbelief here, all right?
Okay, got it. Magic rocks kill half the population.
And what are the good guys? The good guys, of course, are the Avengers, who believe in the ultimate ability of technology to overcome any problem.
Sounds reasonable.
You know, Iron Man. What is Iron Man? He's a super rich guy with
he's got a thing
the
in his
latest,
chest.
greatest technology at his...
Elon Musk, right?
Yeah. Elon Musk.
He made
is
that
Iron
in a
Man.
cave with like a transistor radio.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, makes MacGyver look like a complete putz.
I know.
Yeah.
If he had duct tape, you know what he could have done?
Duct
Jeez.
tape. God, that stuff.
He would have been Titanium Man instead of Iron Man.
Wait a second. So these guys believe that technology can sort of overcome all limits. So would they have this conversation with this Thanos guy about it?
No. But so this is what floors me. Okay, it's an idiotic plan anyway for the bad guy. Because if you were to kill half the people, whatever, in another generation, they just reproduce and
unless you got
repopulate.
rid of the half was one gender, right?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Although maybe if you go all Jurassic Park, you just asexually reproduce.
Sure, I'm sure
With CRISPR, you can do that now, I think.
if we're talking about a whole universe,
The three of us are
going
gonna be like-
species that can do that.
We're not going to be needed pretty soon. We're going to...
You and me?
Well, I mean, our gender won't be needed.
I was very worried where you were going when you mentioned the three of us and reproduction, but
Right. I'm past my prime.
You were worried. Our listeners were worried.
So, but no, my point is, it's a dumb plan anyway. But still, this is the evil guy, the one who's worried that we're consuming too much.
Okay, that's a good worry.
And the good guys are.
But the asteroids are being mined. There's plenty.
Yeah. But I mean, the good guys can overcome this. Anyway, here's supposed to be this fun superhero romp I'm watching with my kid, and I just got kind of in this. Wow, it's so apocalyptic in pop culture. Everywhere you turn, they're talking about the end of the world. Whether it's
It seems like it. It really does. Like children's fiction nowadays. Like 12-year-olds are reading dystopian novels. They're like the most popular things.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, Hunger Games, Maze Runner.
Maze Runner, exactly.
There's a whole genre, a specialized genre, young adult dystopian fiction.
Really?
Oh yeah,
but it's the most popular genre too, right? That's,
yeah,
that's the
I think a lot of
bestsellers.
adults are reading those too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Why?
So yeah, I feel like you can just list movie after movie. There's all these
Okay.
subgenres even.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you can go to the zombie movies. You can go to the
love zombie
technology
movies.
is going to get us.
Okay, sure. Like Terminator.
Yeah, you can go to the natural disaster kind of thing.
Yeah, asteroids and stuff.
Or a man-made.
Earthquakes,
Yeah.
volcanoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff.
So what is going on with that?
I like zombie movies.
I don't know. You think it's more now than it has been in the past?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I am not a biblical scholar, but it seems like there is a little bit of apocalyptic vision there. But I don't know. It just seems like there's just so many movies. You wanna go through a couple of them? How about some really fun ones like Children of Men? You guys ever see that?
That was
I
awesomely
saw
horrible.
Children of the Corn. I didn't see Children of Men.
Well, that's a happier movie than Children of Men. How about that other happy one, The Road? You ever see that?
I didn't see that one. I was afraid.
couldn't
I was
watch
afraid
that.
to see that.
I read that book.
I was afraid to see
couldn't
it.
watch that.
Oh yeah. Well, remember that really scary one, Wall-E?
Well, how's that apocalyptic again?
Dude, the robots left there on this planet full of
To clean up our
Waste.
shitty mess.
I know. I just remember some like
all those
like
fat
Carnival
people
Cruise
yeah,
in
exactly.
space with
That's right.
with like drinks they can slurp.
Right.
There's something wrong with that?
Well, apparently there's some waste. Apparently,
Oh.
the universe in this case is a closed system.
Even
So,
the universe isn't big enough for
You
us.
consume stuff, and it comes with waste, right, as a byproduct. Or
So
in the
we grow
packaging.
to screw up the universe in Wall-E.
Apparently, yeah.
Well,
And then Thanos is feeling the same way.
That's right.
Okay.
Thanos, Wall-E. Maybe they need to start like a special, their own sort of alternative to the.
Yeah, they'll call it the Magic Rocks Club. It'll be awesome.
They're going to get
I
more
got you
people signed
magic
up.
rocks right here.
Do you know that when I took my kids to see Wall-E, and they were handing out trinkets at the end? Did I already talk about this?
No, but I remember that it was I didn't go to see it, but I remember the story coming out. Disney's giving away a free plastic digital watch.
They
or
did
something.
not.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
You
free-
walk out of a movie that is this sorrowful tale of
Yeah.
waste.
Yeah.
What we've done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're handing out shit.
I feel like we talked about this in another episode. We didn't?
I don't know, but it's worth talking
It's worth
about
talking about
every
it again?
time. Yeah.
Okay. So there's this like pimply faced, like 16-year-old kid who works in the movie theater is like handing my 8-year-old kids this plastic trinkets, and they're like crying after seeing Wall-E. And they give him this plastic trinket.
Yeah.
And they get it.
Right.
But they probably
Your
got
kids get it.
I bet they got a nice dopamine hit though,
I-
when they got
I-
the plastic trinket, and it was all better.
I wanted to punch the kid in the mouth, just like Ronnie.
You're referring to another episode. Nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
Exactly. This is confusing for
Let's
me.
get back to the question. Is it getting more apocalyptic? Well, you know what? I looked up just some zombie movie titles. I was kind of like, oh,
You did your
zombies
homework.
are, yeah.
You're good.
There's kind of a zombie craze going on.
I wanna hear
And
this so
This is
bad.
a little smattering
Tell
for
me,
you.
tell
okay?
me, please.
We got Night of the Living Dead, The Walking Dead, Dead Alive, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, World War Z, Zombieland, Aliens versus Zombies, Bigfoot versus Zombies, Navy SEALs versus Zombies, and MILFs versus Zombies. If that is not apocalyptic,
MILFs versus zombies?
yes.
That's horrible. That sounds
I
terrible.
don't know if that's apocalyptic. I think that's playing for a specific demographic.
Yeah,
That's
well,
wonderful.
the 12 times that I watched it, each time I
guess
thought
you're
it
the
was
demographic.
apocalyptic.
Yeah. Well, zombies are actually, they're part of the political discourse as well. There's a presidential candidate who was advocating, he's my favorite presidential candidate of all time. His name is Vermin Supreme. He's got this enormous beard.
Yeah.
He wears a boot, a big kind of rain boot,
Yeah.
galoshes or whatever, on his head, upside down.
Okay.
Okay. Kind of looks like a wizard's hat.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
I've seen pictures of
and he actually talks a lot of wisdom. I mean, one of the things in his campaign is offering a free pony to everyone. Who could say no to that?
Right.
Right.
Is it
And
a
then-
plastic pony? 'Cause
No,
that's
it's not a
even-
plastic
It's a real
pony.
pony. It's a real pony.
Real pony. And then the next idea was harnessing the awesome power of zombies to get us off of our addiction to fossil fuels and mitigate climate change.
This is true. This drives me crazy.
So
in zombie movies.
Yeah. So
what do they eat? They don't have enough to eat.
Well, so what he's advocating for is you put them basically, how you used to tie oxen or horse or whatever, to the grist mill, right? Yeah. So you just put zombies there. You dangle some meat in front of them, and they just walk around in circles and
forever.
You got your
Apparently, they never die.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great solution.
It's a great scene of a brain dangling from a pole in front of a dead human walking in a circle.
You could probably make it like a plastic brain. Like it has to look like a brain. And he's like,
I think all you got to do is make it an iPhone and then just make a lot of people would sign up for that.
Just put a regular person.
Yeah, exactly.
must answer.
The iPhone X.
You don't. No. Every 10 minutes you have to put a new iPhone in.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Update the operating
system.
system.
Here's the thing. You're right. I mean, obviously the zombie thing is pretty popular. There's other things. What's interesting to me is I actually think I don't think apocalyptic movies or stories are necessarily that new. I don't know if there's a lot more of them. It's more maybe the subject matter that they're exploring that's interesting. How it relates. There are ones that relate closely to climate change or like Wall-E to environmental pollution that we're causing.
We had a whole bunch of stuff in the 70s like Soylent Green. That was a great movie.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I think back then it was more like there's too many of us. But now it's the whole range. I mean, like there's one of my favorite apocalypse subgenres is the technology is going to get us. You have the Matrix and the Terminator and
the Singularity.
More recently, Mr. Robot.
Right.
These kind of very dystopian. We're overdoing it. And
Blade Runner was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't see the new one, but
it's very good.
Yeah,
rains a lot still.
Nice.
It rains a lot.
We don't have to worry about the climate there or running
it's in
out of
Los
water.
Angeles. Yeah.
But so the question that I've had around this is why? Why this uptick? Or why is it so common? Why are little kids reading about people that would normally be their peers in grade school or learning how to bow hunt other humans? Why are we seeing this?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, it's funny because I remember I went to school in California in grade school in the 70s.
Where they taught humans bow hunting other humans?
Well, I would say that there was like a little bit of an environmental education even in grammar school. Okay. But I think today, though, it's way more intense even than when I was going to school in the 70s. And so I'm wondering if like there's just so much information for kids, but then they look around and they see the adults, apparently the people who are supposed to take care of them and be responsible, and tuck them in and stuff. But really, we're not doing anything like that has any significant consequence to deal with the problems they hear about.
So it's like we're not fixing climate change. We're not fixing the biodiversity.
Do you think
depletion.
We are? Are you going to argue that we are?
But so the point is, because they see us not fixing it, they've got to have this fantastic escape to...
Well, it's like it's all going to go to shit. Yeah, but it's all going to go to shit. It's an escapism that says, yes, it's going to go to shit.
Yeah. That's great.
What I think is, I'm still not sure that we're seeing an order of magnitude difference in terms of people's...
How about 5x?
Let's just call it 1.2x. Okay. I think, think about Cold War stuff, right?
Okay, that was bad too.
I mean,
I would duck and cover.
There's different kinds of stories that people tell themselves are things that they're worried about. It's just that maybe now they're more like Hunger Games, for example.
Yeah.
There are maybe both some natural limit issues there, but there's also a justice issue.
I think where it came to me is, so an old superhero movie, yes, there was an existential threat from some other bad super guy, right? Like the
back to that again.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like some evil character is just coming out. And he's just
Luthor,
evil and
Lex Luthor.
Wants to burn the world or whatever. I think that's what they say in Batman.
Okay,
like Joker has no purpose other than just messing with people.
Okay,
but here the guy is like, no, I'm actually good. But I need to stop the resource depletion, so I'm going to wipe out half the universe. Right? Jeez. To me, it's a different thing. It's like the whole issue is that we're trying to we're seeing these things happen, like the sixth extinction, climate change, the loss of a large percentage of our topsoil, where people are worried about their aquifer drying up, and so it's antibiotic resistant bacteria are making the round. So we need like this way to look at this dark stuff where we can say, oh, that's just fiction, and we don't have to. It's like fiction to deal with nonfiction.
Well, there's always what's weird though. Are like at the same time that our culture is doing that. Okay, let's just take your premise that we're using, entertainment to sort of deal with the angst we have about these things. At the same time, probably in the same individual personals, like the people have this incredible faith in technology. They're looking at their iPhone updating and it's wonderful, or their Android or whatever it is, and they're seeing the new computers and they're seeing 3D printing, and they're looking at Elon Musk on a video, and he's talking about going to Mars, and many people believe that as well. So maybe the same people are holding these two completely contrasting views of our future in their heads.
Well, I think that is a human condition. I don't think that that's a particularly new phenomenon either, that people tend to view the future in either in extreme terms, right?
Okay,
it's
right.
Either going to be a techno-utopia or a different kind of utopia where it's like this dream future, or heaven, or it's hell, right?
Yeah. Well, even some of some of the environmentalists say we got to completely embrace technology, nuclear power, and genetic engineering, and completely make the world over to serve our needs, or we're in trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And getting in bed with corporate entities as well. Like
right.
you wouldn't have thought this back in the early days of environmentalism, that like we're going to work with the corporations to solve the environmental crisis.
I think what's interesting about, and I haven't seen this movie, right? But what's interesting to me about the premise that you laid out about the movie is that it's, and obviously this guy is a bad guy for going out there and trying to, kill off half of the living beings in the universe, but that he feels like you have to go to these pretty extreme lengths to deal with this issue. Whereas I think it's true that in society today, that if people talk about things like we need to massively reduce the human population on this planet, they're treated like pariahs in a sense, including within the environmental movement, because you don't want to do that. I don't know that the kind of mainstay environmental groups are advocating for technology because they're offering a utopian vision of the future. I think that they're pushing technology as a solution because they think it's the only thing that it would be palatable enough to enough people in society to kind of shift the trajectory you're on, which is a dystopian one,
and the funding class potentially too, right?
Sure. But what I was getting at was that you were just touching on this, Jason, that there are these kind of dominant archetypal types of stories. They manifest in different ways, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be zombies attacking us. It could be, an asteroid.
My favorite are zombies. My zombies are my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite are zombies on asteroids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God, I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
With MILFs.
With MILFs, of course. It's the MILFs who are the zombies, actually.
So you're talking about this dichotomy, these two different myths, the progress myth, the technology will save us, and the apocalypse myth. We have a colleague, John Michael Greer, who's written this pretty cool article that sums that up really well.
Oh, you've done more homework.
Yeah.
Good,
yeah,
good.
I like to do that sometimes.
Thank you so much.
Our listeners appreciate that.
Keep us moving.
I pulled a couple of quotes out of there to describe it. He calls one the progress myth. And here's how it goes. He says, with the coming of the scientific revolution 300 years ago, the slow triumph of reason over nature shifted into overdrive and has been accelerating ever since. Eventually, once the last vestiges of primitive superstition and ignorance are cast aside, our species will leap upward from the surface of its home planet and embrace its destiny among the stars.
Wow.
And I assume he's talking about actual stars in the heavens, not the Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj.
Dancing with them.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the progress myth. And,
I love it.
And most of the people, at least here in the United States, have bought that myth.
I want it.
The apocalypse myth is it's a little tougher.
Okay.
You guys ready to hear that?
Fine, go for it.
Okay. He says, people once lived in harmony with their world, each other, and themselves, but that golden age ended with a disastrous wrong turning, and things have gone downhill ever since. The rise of vast, unnatural cities governed by bloated governmental bureaucracies, inhabited by people who have abandoned spiritual values for a wholly material existence, marks the point of no return. Sometime soon, the whole rickety structure will come crashing down, overwhelmed by sudden catastrophe, and billions of people will die as civilization comes apart and rampaging hordes scour the landscape.
Ouchie poo.
Sounds a little like zombies, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think that's why I'm drawn to zombies, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because out here you watch scouring hordes coming for your family.
Rob is pointing to the farm fields outside of my library where we're recording. I'm trying to picture the hordes marching down the fields. I can't.
I think that so Greer's premise here is that, because I've read that piece too, obviously, that these are very common sort of dominant stories that we tell ourselves. But they're just that, in a sense. It's easy for us to fall into this, into these sort of these old tropes,
Yeah.
And they might have different characteristics at different times, in terms of what is the vision of utopia or what is the vision of like this Armageddon situation. But we have a hard time imagining kind of the messy middle, and that includes a lot of people that I think are sort of in our camp, who are concerned about these, what we call the E4 crises, right? This kind of confluence of energy constraint issues and, environmental issues like climate change and
equity
issues in terms of the economy and its inability to keep growing, and issues like you were saying, Jason, about equity and sort of the growing divide between, haves and have-nots. And they kind of see that all collapsing in this sort of Seneca Cliff moment.
What does that mean, Seneca Cliff? I hear that some, but don't.
It's basically like literally falling off a very sharp drop.
So that's an actual cliff somewhere.
I guess
Seneca Cliff?
it's got a gentle slope up to the peak, and then it just falls off a cliff, as opposed to a bell-shaped curve. So you can think of the rise and fall, say, of civilizations as being a bell-shaped curve where they grow, they add complexity, and then there's power, and they spread geographically, and then they just sort of start shrinking back, and the periphery starts becoming more simplified and more independent again, and then they wither down to the core again. But it's kind of genteel.
But so,
right? As opposed to like boom, and then there's like cannibalism in the streets.
Right. So if the asteroid doesn't smack the planet and blow everything up, you're talking a share then about this messy middle. Like it's not one way or the other. Like, even if you experience a collapse, it's not immediate.
It's more cannibalism-lite.
Diet people for the zombies.
Well, you just eat limbs instead of the entire body, okay?
Right. Okay. That sounds tasty.
I'm sorry, that was bad, wasn't
it? What's interesting for me is, why are we inclined to sort of imagine those extreme visions of the future? Because I would probably say, John Michael Greer wrote a book called The Long Descent. And I think in that he argued, if you look at sort of historical precedent, right, of societies that have gone, he would agree, I think, with the premise that we're dealing with limits, right? Limits to our ability to grow.
Yeah. And
so we look at other societies who may have gone through some kind of a limit to their ability to function the way that they have. And there certainly are historical, precedent for that. And that in many cases, they are a longer descent when they go through that. Rome wasn't built in a day, didn't fall in a day. It took a long time. And that's in some ways relieving for those of us who are concerned if he's right.
If he's right, yeah.
If he's right, it's relieving to us to think that, okay, we hit sort of this peak, we are on a decline of some kind, but it's a gradual or it's a punctuated descent of some kind, where maybe there are these moments of a lot of chaos, but then there's these other moments where kind of things even out for a little bit. That gives us time to adjust and sort of shift and prepare and do whatever we need to do. So on the one hand, that's really appealing of an image, but we're still in this cultural reality where people kind of, that story doesn't really appeal to people.
Well,
right?
here's what bums me out, because, okay, if you believe the apocalypse, then, all right, that scenario, you're like, I don't have to do anything about it. It's all going to just go to shit. And then, I'll start eating people, or they'll eat me, or whatever. And it's over. It's going to be pretty quick. Okay. All right. No big deal. I don't have to do anything. Or if you believe in the complete progress myth, they're like, I don't do anything. We'll be start mining asteroids, and then we'll be, setting up Bed Bath & Beyond on Mars, or whatever it's going to be. All right. So
Mars is the beyond.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. So both of those extremes are kind of like giving you an excuse to do nothing. My feeling, okay, we're going to talk about feelings in this show, right? In this podcast.
Of course.
Okay. My feeling is that if you don't want it to be a Seneca cliff, if you want it to be more of the long descent, do something about it. Mm-hmm. All right, work to soften the blow. If you don't do the work to soften the blow, if those of us who aren't aware of the issues don't take some proactive measures, even if it's just like, the little things we can do in our own lives, enough of us doing that, I think will help soften the blow. And I think that's important.
Well, and I think for me, as you're going through a radical societal transition, we may jettison some crap that we never really wanted in the first place. This whole consumerist, materialist mindset. Yeah, okay, look, it's great. I'm speaking into a microphone. I can't make this thing.
No, there's a very nice.
Like somebody made this somewhere. I just bought it.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Like, there's some things to be said about the ability to purchase consumer goods, but the notion of that's how you win the game, right, is by earning more money all the time and buying more stuff. Like, I don't mind that we might get rid of that. Right. And we might spend more time enjoying one another's company, sitting around the fire, telling stories, or, just being a community of people together. But I agree with you that you got to do the work to make that possible. Right. So we don't want to watch some devolving into chaos, dark ages scenario.
But I want to get it back to what we were talking about before, which is like why. Why are these stories being told? Why are they popular? And if we agree with the premise that there is a tendency to tell these stories of extreme prosperity or well-being or whatever, utopian vision and kind of a dystopian vision on the other side, why do we incline to those things? And I think that, and then what can we do to combat them? Because you said, Jason, like, if we want to have a long descent, the best thing that we can do rather than a Seneca cliff, then we have to take some kind of action, right? But we have to sort of understand why people tend to revert to these stories or these visions of the future. Part of it is, like you said, is that maybe they don't have to take responsibility for it. The other, I think, is that we evolved as a species in scarcity, right? Mm-hmm. Most of our history as a species, we were scrabbling to make ends meet day by day. And when we found, and we had urgent, threats, mm-hmm. and we had urgent opportunities, and it was like feast or famine, all or nothing. We were kind of, I think our brains were sort of trained to view the world that way. So it's hard for us to take a long, measured view of the future and then still feel agency about it, right? It doesn't feel as urgent. I think that's why, people, they say, yeah, they're concerned about climate change. And you talk to people about, worrying about the climate for your grandkids. Well, I love my grandkids. Fuck them.
It's not that urgent when I can go buy a ticket for a cruise line and watch the ice capades in the bottom deck of the cruise.
You get an immediate reward, right? So I think a key thing here is if that's a tendency of ours, if it's an innate sort of ingrained tendency of ours, are there things that we can do to act upon that, but foster things that are actually put us in the mindset where it's not like the world's going to shit tomorrow. We got to get our guns, our gold, put them in the bunker.
Cans of beans.
Right? You remember that another colleague of ours, Douglas Rushkoff, who's been a writer and a critic of technology for a long time. He told a story that I thought was really fascinating, and that was that he was invited, he thought, to give a talk, talking about some of the issues with modern technology and kind of where culture and society are going. And they paid him a shit ton of money. I mean, it was like I think the best honorarium he'd gotten. So he thought, okay, I'm going to go talk to a bunch of, I don't know, financial sociopaths in a big hall somewhere. Maybe he didn't think that way. That's how I would describe it. Instead, he comes into this space and he had prepared all these remarks, and there's like 5 guys there, right? There's like no big hall with a big crowd of people,
It's like a Scotch club.
Each one of these guys has 10 times the amount of the whatever big hall full of people would have had, right? Like
in terms of
wealth and
Oh my gosh.
So there are these 5 billionaire types, and they want to have a conversation with him, basically.
Wow.
Like they're anticipating that there's going to be this Armageddon type collapse that happens, and they're like,
Technology is going to fail.
we don't
basically.
want prepared comments from you. We just want to ask you some questions, like what are we going to do?
These guys call it the event. Like after the event,
That's
whatever
the
it is.
Oh,
euphemism?
Whether it's zombies, dinosaurs, technology, asteroid, whatever.
Something.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and what was there was one thing, one of the questions was, so I got my bunker, I'm paraphrasing here, right? I got my bunker, I got, stored food that's going to get me by for years or decades or whatever. I built this compound in New Zealand.
Good place. Yeah.
And I'm all set up, and I got my guards. Like, how do I make sure my guards stay loyal to me, right?
Can you imagine you're invited somewhere to give people advice, and they're asking you, how do you keep your guard service loyal through the apocalypse?
I cracked that one.
Sexual favors.
No.
No?
No. Jesus, do I tell people this?
Well, Rushkoff had an answer.
What was his?
His was start being nice to them now.
That could work, but
Just a great answer.
But do you know what has worked throughout history? What has worked throughout history?
Beheadings.
Religion. Religion.
So start a new religion, and you could be the conduit,
The holy
to
man.
God. You're the holy man.
Yeah.
So basically, bring back the kings, right?
Yeah, in some ways, there's actually
We might see that actually.
well, there's actually theories of why and how religion evolved, and it evolved in order to have people be cohesive in larger and larger groups, beyond which you could know each other as family members and small tribes. So there's a whole theory of religious innovation.
So
actually,
this is sad because the old builders of religions used to be guys who were probably like kind of down and out, and they saw that as a way to make it, But now we're talking about billionaires becoming the next the next Brigham Young or whatever.
Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an Oregon reference. Go watch Wild Wild Country. Yeah, but no. I think though that's interesting though is that religion was a way to do this without sort of monetary transactions. How do you have society be cohesive when people don't know each other personally and there's not contract law, right? And so giant trade routes, right?
You still had a situation where there were people that were very much the elite and profiting tremendously.
Of course.
From the creation of those institutions.
Yes.
And it was a way of keeping the populace literally in fear of going to hell, the consequence of acting.
If you're a billionaire, you don't want your security guards to shoot you. Just convince them that they'll
God
go to hell.
told
They'll
them-
go to hell if they do.
Well, and even worse, what if your money goes to hell? That would be.
Well, this is what's interesting is that, in the scenario they're talking about, money's worthless.
Right.
Right. So they're going like, oh shit, we've amassed billions and it will suddenly be worthless.
Exactly. And I don't know how to have value outside of that.
Right. And so, this is this is what's amazing is to realize that if you destroy a culture through overconsumption, overaccumulation, and over promotion of this political and resource ideology we have right now, there's nothing to protect you if you're uber wealthy. There's nothing left.
Well, so getting back to what would we advise to the billionaire types? What would we advise to people like us who are far from billionaire types? And that is, well, I guess I would say a couple things. One is beware the stories, right? Like, I think you can look objectively and scientifically at the trends that are out there and be very concerned. Yeah. And I think it is safe to make an assumption that the future will not look like the present, right? But maybe avoid thinking that it's either going to be problem solved because technology is going to come to the rescue, or it's going to be hopeless and we're all going to go extinct in 20 years or something like that. And say that we're going to go through lots of shocks, but it may be that this is a longer, protracted experience. And so let's work towards softening that landing. But let's also maybe work towards things that have some kind of an immediate reward. Because if the reason why people are going to movie theaters, for the shock and awe of that moment, right, is because they're not having that experience in their lives. They're looking for that dopamine hit, the adrenaline, whatever it is. Can we provide ones for them that put us on the right path for the future, but they're still feeding that part of themselves.
That's some pretty good advice, but I would probably say that better would be to go find yourself some infinity stones or other magic rock-like substances so that you can just control whatever outcome is out there.
Okay, well, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys because I'm going to go look out in Jason's field and see if I can find some of those.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. If those aren't there, maybe you find some mushrooms.
All right, that sounds good. That's our show. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the podcast, and while you're at it, rate or review it at iTunes. That really helps get it in front of more people. To learn more, visit postcarbon.org/crazytown. And if you want to actually learn something instead of listening to us bozos, you should check out Post Carbon Institute's Think Resilience course. It's 4 hours, $20, and will seriously change the way you see the world. Catch you next time on the mean streets of Crazytown.
This episode is brought to us by a trade organization, the Distilled Opium Uppers Cocaine Hemp Ecstasy Collective, also known as Douche.
Oh my gosh, as podcast celebrities, we all know we get some great swag from time to time.
For sure, yeah.
But this had to be the best. I mean, I took a douche. Did you?
You took a douche. I took a douche too. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, think about it. All these drugs in and of themselves are pretty powerful. I mean, cocaine on its own, but when you combine it together like this, it's an amazing thing.
Well, and the amazing thing about Douche is that their scientists have taken each of these and pulled only the highest quality, natural grade pieces out and turned it into a safe product that opens the doorways of perception.
And it's organic.
Oh, yeah, all organic.
Well, I was able to speak to the Grand Poobah and his sidekick, Deepak Chopra, and I finally understand. So, like when Deepak said, "Don't take care of your body, let your body take care of you."
Douche.